Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses as we continue with Part 5, Evolution from Freemasonry Its Hidden Meaning by George H. Steinmetz. Chapter 4, Evolution. Our starting point is that of a divinely ordained security from which we may quietly grow into that higher evolution which is the fulfillment of the law of our own being. Thomas Troward. We are told that Masonry was originated by King Solomon at the building of his temple. However, it is a well-established fact that Masonry is an ancient esoteric philosophy of life, ancient even in King Solomon's day. This philosophy has been traced back to the lost continent of Atlantis. The great masters, the knowers of the time, warned of the impending doom of the continent, assembled the worthy and well-qualified of their followers, and migrated to Africa. They took with them the truths of that philosophy and re-established it in their new dwelling place. There we find their ruined temples, which, compared with our lodge rooms, have similar floor plans, the same dark north, and many of the same emblems. In this connection, the following quotation from James Churchward in Children of Mu may prove very enlightening. Many Egyptologists find enigmas concerning the two Egyptian religious cults. These apparent enigmas are brushed aside when it is known in what way Egypt was first peopled and by whom. Egypt was first colonized by two sets of people, commencing at two separate and distinct parts. One set coming to Lower Egypt from the west, the other set coming to Upper Egypt from the east. Eventually, the Upper Egyptians met the Lower Egyptians on the valley of the Nile. A tablet found in Meccan, Crete, by Schliemann says, "The Egyptians descended from Misar. Misar was the child of Thoth, the god of history. Thoth was the emigrated son of a priest of Atlantis. He built the first temple at Sais and there taught the wisdom of his native land." Also, in South and Central America have been found ruins of Masonic significance. Churchward advances some strong, if unusual, arguments to support his claims that all these civilizations emigrated from the continent of Mu in the Pacific Ocean. Those interested in an exhaustive study are referred to the Mu trilogy by Churchward, The Lost Continent of Mu, The Children of Mu, The Sacred Symbols of Mu. Modern archaeology has accomplished much in rediscovering the ruins of the ancient temples, but as yet has not succeeded in bringing to light the philosophy of the Incas and Mayans to the point where it can speak with authority. In Egypt, more has been learned from the temple ruins and hieroglyphics found on other monuments and on the walls of tombs. That knowledge has brought to light more Masonic allegory and symbolism, as evidenced in their beliefs and practices. Unquestionably, our third degree derives from the mysteries of Osiris, or from the still more ancient legend from which the Osirian myth itself originated. This notwithstanding that some Masons see in the third degree the enactment of a tragedy which occurred at a later date in history. It is of interest to note that some modern psychologists claim all these tragedy legends stem from the same ancient source. Historically true or false, it is a psychological necessity, and had there been no Osiris, no Hiram, no Christ, man's mind would have been compelled to fashion one. He who does not wish to accept the Atlantean account will find himself on the threshold of an even more wonderful exhibition of the universality of Freemasonry if he will analyze the facts. He must seek elsewhere for an explanation that at different places in the world, temples of similar plan, undoubtedly used for similar rites and decorated with similar and in some instances identical emblems, were constructed. Why should these widely separated peoples, with no means of communication, arrive at the same conclusions regarding their origin and status in the universe? The only logical answer is contained in the teaching of mental science, of an all-intelligent, universal, subjective mind to which all human minds have access. From it they received the truth, and there being only one truth necessarily, they arrived at the same conclusions. To quote Francis Grant, "If miracles exist, does not one lie in this, that men far removed at times simultaneously should pronounce the same doctrine of truth and the same path of human liberation? Apparently all men, whatever their race or creed, may pluck the same flowers in the plain of high heaven." This digression from the statement that Masonry is even older than Masonic tradition claims is for the purpose of establishing more firmly in your minds the age and universality of its great philosophy. Masonry contains within its teaching the whole purpose of man's existence and the method of attaining the end of creative spirit in personalizing itself through man. Man, being created in the image of God, possesses within himself the potential possibilities of infinite progress and evolution. Harmonizing the biblical story of creation with the findings of modern science, evolution, when carefully considered, is not in any way contradictory to the Bible. Evolution strengthens our faith in the Bible's prophetic utterances as to man's glorious possibilities. Man's primitive beginnings, when compared with his present attainment, give us renewed faith in the divine purpose of the Creator, for man to attain even higher levels than he has already reached by the attainment of mastership. Man is a complex being consisting of material, psychical, and spiritual nature, and material science alone does not completely satisfy our investigation. Therefore, we must direct our attention to that element within him we call spiritual, and it is found that man's spiritual nature makes for his highest attainment. The quality whereby he attains that high evolution is the power of choice. The creative law of being implanted in man by divine intelligence gives man the freedom of choice, whether to spiritually retrograde or progress. The choice, however, lies between these two. There is no standing still in this universe of motion. Natural evolution betters the entire race, without regard for the individual. Spiritual evolution betters the individual through his own efforts. The statement that previously the Lodge prayed for you is in effect advising that before the law of evolution advanced you, now you must pray for advance yourself. In bringing the candidate to that part in the initiation where he must pray for himself, the Lodge has brought him to the same point as all others who have gone the way before him. From this point, level individual desire is necessary to make further progress. It is a personal problem of asking, seeking, knocking. This not only applies to that particular moment in the Lodge room, but to any further progress in Masonry. In fact, it is not too inclusive to add any progress in life itself. Our quest is for the rediscovery of something lost. It is the knowledge of the twofold principle in nature, and specifically, knowledge of the modus operandi of the constructive principle. The loss of the knowledge of the constructive principle in nature brought into man's existence its opposite, the destructive principle. Light is the symbol of knowledge, and knowledge properly used leads to wisdom and power. Therefore, the ancient high priest's breastplate had engraven thereon the two words, Urim and Thummim, lights and perfections. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment, and if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.